Grand Tournament.
The Grand Tournament.
Yeah.
So I saw. Okay, so I have the stream like up on one window, and I'm doing something else, and all of a sudden I look over and I see some Lich King content, and I'm like, whoa, what's that? Whoa, what's happening? So what is the Grand Tournament? Ben?
Yeah, I can contextualize that a little bit. So before Wrath of the Lich King came out, they had a big patch in World of Warcraft.
Yes.
And they had the Argent Tournament, which is basically like, okay, we need to take down the Lich King. We're going to get the best heroes in Azeroth, have them compete in a tournament. Those that win are going to go and take down the Lich King. You remember that?
Oh yeah, I love how like in real time Thrall and who's Thrall? Who's the head of the Horde now? Well, the head of the Horde is like a troll now, right?
Yeah,
For a while it was Garrosh.
Yep.
And I like when Thrall and Garrosh would show up. And like Garrosh would be like, "Why are we here? This is ridiculous." And Thrall's like, "Calm down, Garrosh." And like that would all happen in real time. I loved it.
So basically, the idea is after the Argent Tournament, they had all of this stuff lying around. It's like, wow, we have all these lances and we have this field. Like, why don't we make use of this? And so they send out these scrolls. They're saying, "Come compete for glory in this field," and that's sort of what the Grand Tournament is. It's all of these characters from.
That's
Azeroth.
a lot more context than Hearthstone's ever gotten. Because goblins and gnomes is like, whatever.
Right.
It's like
it is
more
just
cards.
Kind of
I mean, even Blackrock's like, the vibe that I got was like, Blackrock already happened. This is less of like us actually going into Blackrock and more just like a celebration of that place, that event, that, you know, that moment in time in World of Warcraft history. But
well, yeah, exactly. You make a good point because to me, the reason it's so cool is, you know, when we have Blackrock Mountain, it's kind of on its own. It's like, this is an adventure. It doesn't connect to anything else. It's just, here's the next thing.
A deep sigh from over there in the tech camp. What?
I just saw the card back. It's gorgeous.
It is very gorgeous.
Oh,
We're going to get there.
Oh,
but maybe what a lot of people are speculating, and I think makes a lot of sense, is we want a new class in Hearthstone, right? We want the Death Knight. At some point, we're going to have to get Arthas in the game somehow.
Okay.
So maybe this expansion is leading up to that. You know, because
but they haven't said that.
No, they haven't said that.
Okay.
But maybe this is a little tease in that direction. So, just like with Goblins vs. Gnomes, you're going to get more than 130 new cards in this expansion, which is a lot. They completely changes the game once again. They are doing something new where you can pre-purchase the expansion. It's going to be available next month, which means it's probably going to be available the first week of August. They haven't said that. They just said next month. If you spend $49.99... I believe, or it's whatever 50 packs is. You get an exclusive card back. Kyle, could we get that card back on the screen for our viewers to see?
For Brandon to see. I haven't seen this card back yet.
Eric Dodd, the game director, would say that this is his favorite one, but it's actually
we had it for a second,
gorgeous.
then it left. Kyle teasing with the card back.
It's gone. It should be there.
Oh, it disappeared.
We're not seeing it on screen.
It flashed.
There, it should be there.
It's not there.
See it. Kyle, you can look for yourself. I do not see it on screen.
I think chat probably sees it.
But it
Chat, do you see it?
Oh.
Chat sees it. Okay, so I realize what has to happen now. Okay, I got this. Keep chatting it up.
Oh, it flashed again.
Technical difficulties. So what is it? What's the theme? What's the style? Like, what can you like if you get a Mist from Pandaria card, you look at it and you're like, okay, I can see.
So as you might here, I'll show it to you. Oh, there we go. We got it. We got it. Now you can see it.
Oh, that's pretty. And so we got the banners.
It is very pretty. If I were a Paladin player, which I am not, that might be something that I would use.
And you can do that now. You can specifically set your card backs for specific classes. So if you have your Paladin deck, you can say, I want this card back only on my Paladin deck.
But I'm a little bit angry at this. The card back itself is amazing.
This card back infuriates me.
I'm known around the office and like amongst the GT community as someone who spends way too much money on Hearthstone.
Right.
So I did some pre-planning, Brandon. I knew they were going to come out with a new expansion, so I saved up. I have 10,000 gold saved, which is a lot of gold. That's a lot of packs.
It is.
And I was like, I'm just going to buy all of the packs for no money. I'm not going to spend any money. I'm going to get all the cards. But because I'm a completionist, and I know there are a lot of people out there like me, even if they're not going to admit it, I now have to spend the money.
So you have every card back?
The only one I don't have, I'm going to troll for this, I don't have the Legend card back yet. Someday.
Oh, okay. But that's achievable.
Yes, that's achievable.
I missed the first one. The first rank month, I totally missed. And then I was like, oh, okay, I get what ranking is now. And then I've gotten all of those since. But, like, there was a BlizzCon one, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a
BlizzCon one.
There was a Warlords of Draenor one.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of other ones.
There's actually another one I don't have that just came out. It's the Galaxy Gifts one.
So card backs are like Amiibo. It's like, okay, because there's some I will never get, I can be okay.
Right.
But I feel that pain, Ben.
Yeah, I do too. It feels like
If there was, if there was an infinity figure,
they're finding more
I'd
ways to get money out of us, and I don't know that they need to do that. So it's a little bit frustrating. But moving on.
But but you're talking about a very specific completionist thing. You're talking about Metal Mario. You know, you're like, this is real intense. This does not make you any better at the game. This is just like a purely cosmetic thing.
No.
Where now that we're talking about price, you can still you earned that money just through playtime, so you can still access the grand tournament for free.
You can, but the only way you get this card back is by dropping cash.
Right.
And it's, again, we can get into this later. Maybe this isn't the right venue, but I feel like this, in a way, sort of maybe punishes your most invested players.
Sure. I mean, you're definitely never going to save up again. I mean, are you just...
Right. It's like, if I'm going to have to get 50 packs anyway, why would I put all this effort into saving up all this gold? Maybe I just naturally accumulate it.
You wait until you're allowed to gift gold to other players.
Oh, that'll never happen.
You help your friend Brandon out. You help him just fill out his Goblins versus Gnomes.
I would love to be able to trade with you guys.
I need Gazira in my... Gazrilla?
Gazrilla.
I need Gazrilla. That's what I'm saying.
Gazrilla is a perfect Brandon Jones card, by the way.
Right.
Let's get into the new cards.
Should we talk about hunters right off the bat? Can we please?
We will. We'll get into a big hunter discussion in the second card. But the first card they showed on stream was a legendary card, and it was a legendary pirate. And since the beginning of Hearthstone, I've been waiting for pirates to be a big deal. And there's some cool synergy that you can do, and Goblins versus Gnomes sort of flesh them out a little bit. But there's just not quite enough cards. Maybe that expansion will fix this, but this legendary card I'm kind of underwhelmed by.
I'm curious if chat can see this black and white targeting system where all of a sudden the Predator...
Kyle is trying his best to get the card on
This
stream.
is a fun little rig that we got going with this, so I'm kind of curious how this looks.
Sky Captain Craig, right away, I love how he just has regular charge, but they give it a little pirate flavor. It's cute. It's the little touches that make Hearthstone stand out. But what it is, it's a 7 mana for a 4/6. So if you don't look at the text, obviously the cost for the stats is completely terrible. You would never play it. But this is a mechanic that they really got into with Blackrock Mountain. Cost 1 less for something.
If you have a specific thing.
Yeah, so this costs 1 less for each friendly pirate, and you're like, oh man, there are already a lot of things, a lot of synergies in the pirate cards where I can get a lot of pirates out quickly. Cool, maybe I can take advantage of this.
And who doesn't like pirates? Who doesn't want pirates to work somehow? And I think that's something like right when Hearthstone launched, right? Like, before any added content, like Murlocs and pirates, you were like, can I make this work? Like, am I doing this just for fun, just because I like every time, or am I actually going to be competitive? Am I actually, I remember the first time I got whooped by a Druid Murloc deck. It was hilarious. Like, he just got the right cards, and he got like 5 Murlocs out in 2 turns, and I was like, you have 5 cards out. That's crazy.
Right.
So, and I really like the idea that those specific classes, like, beasts and stuff like that will get a nice little influx every time they have new content. All of a sudden, something that you like, your old pirate deck is now relevant again.
And you bring up a good point that's hard for me to think about. I'm all about competitive. It's like, no, I'm only going to play this if it does well. If it's fun, great, but I'm in it to do well.
Right.
That's just sort of my mindset. And yeah, I think the way that they've treated Murlocs is you can do well with it, but it's more of a fun, not so serious thing. But because they keep adding more cards, it seems like they want to make something happen.
Yeah.
My problem with this card from a competitive standpoint is it's very situational, right? So board clears, as a player, you want to try to clear the board as much as possible. You don't want to get overwhelmed. And so I can see a lot of situations, just like with Bulver Full Dragon, where you draw it late in the game and you really need a good card, and it's just not that useful. If you have no pirates out on the board, what is really a 7 mana 4/6 going to accomplish? Not that much.
And I don't know if we're going to have time for this, but because Kyle likes the lore, I like the lore, we like context.
Yeah.
Where in the world of Warcraft will you encounter Sky Captain Crag?
Because
I like his mount. Is that a mount you can have in the game? I like that he's
I don't think so. I know a lot about Warcraft.
Booty Bay there's no in all of Booty Bay. There's no drop.
So again, the way that they're contextualizing this is Sky Captain Crag is somebody that they didn't intend to maybe come to this tournament, but got an invitation somehow and is showing up. You're going to see a lot of crazy creatures. I mean, how great is that art? This orc with this pirate hook lance on a giant parrot. That's fun. If nothing else, I want to see what that guy says when you attack.
The parrot better make a sound effect. That's all I'm saying when he comes in. All right, next card.
Next card. The next card is a big one. This is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting ones that they've revealed so far.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Bring this chat over so it's readable. About whether you have the card back from the Chinese tournament.
He's not in WoW. Thank
No,
you for
I mean,
the,
come
thank
on.
you for the clarification.
I'm not. I don't even. When I say like getting 100% in Hearthstone, I'm never going to be able to compete in like a professional Chinese tournament. That doesn't count.
Here he is.
Here he is. So this card is the card I spent the most time thinking about. I don't know how to feel about it. People are saying it's not as good as it seems, but I just watched a match where he won because of this card. So lock and load, 2 mana. Each time you cast a spell this turn, and only this turn, add a random hunter card to your hand. There are a lot of cheap spells in Hunter. You have Arcane Shot, which does 2 damage for 1 mana. You have Quick Shot, which does 3 damage for 2 mana. You have all of your traps, which are 2 mana.
Doesn't Quick Shot get a draw card if
only if your hand is empty?
Which is a hunter, that happens.
That does happen. It doesn't happen as much as you would think, but it definitely happens. So the thing is, for me, I've played a ton of Hunter. I've played against a ton of Hunter. The times where I win, in a lot of instances, it's, okay, they just don't have quite enough damage to kill me this turn, so I'm able to close out the game. Like, oh, thank God they didn't draw a kill command. Oh, thank God they didn't draw a quick shot or whatever. This gives them a little bit extra reach, you know, especially as players like to do. They hold the kill commands in their hand. They hold the quick shots in their hand for that burst.
Right.
This gives them even more. So I'm a little bit worried about it. The other thing that bothers me, and this is something that they've been introducing a lot in Hearthstone, they had it kind of in Blackrock Mountain as well, is what makes you a good Hearthstone player is you're able to play around cards, right? Mm. So I know, like, okay, Fireball is a really common mage spell, or Flame Strike is a really common mage spell. On turn 7, I should expect this, right? Because it's a common threat. A random Hunter card, I can't really play around that. If they do this and they start popping off with all these spells, it's like, I have no idea what's in their hand. Right. And so for me as a player, it makes my decisions that much more difficult, to the point where I don't know how effective you can be. What do you think?
I will say this. Okay, the one struggle that I've had with Hunter, I like Hunter aesthetically for anything. So like if I'm playing an MMO,
right.
if I'm playing like Fantasy Life, which I just bought for 3DS last week,
oh,
Hunter,
nice.
like Hunter right away. You know, it's like
yeah.
It's always my go-to class. I love ranged. I love both. You know, actually in real life, like shooting a bow and arrow. I love everything aesthetically about the class. So when this came out, I played Hunter. That was my class when I played World of Warcraft. And so there's no question that like whatever changes they made to this. I remember when they nerfed my buzzard that brings in more cards. I was like, oh, you know. So the only spells that I ever bring into a Hunter deck are stuff that will just outright kill something. It's like
right.
because spells are my only real defense against like go away, and like not to jump ahead, but like there's the one card that's like the mage card that's like use your hero ability as many times as you want.
Right.
I have to kill that right away.
Mm-hmm.
Emperor Thurisian, I have to kill that right now. You know, it's like, and I think, as any class, you have to do that. And if you're a priest or you're a mage, you're swimming in those cards. There's so many options for just like, nope, like you're dead, it's over. And Hunter, there's always some catch. Like there's always like, you can kill a card, but it's random. You can do damage, but it's only 5 if you have a beast. Like there's always like some.
But the thing you're forgetting, that makes it so they're extremely effective. You know, Hunter has been one of the best classes in the game for a very long time. Is their hero power? They always have a little bit of damage.
Right.
And with some of the new cards, which are neutral cards that reward you for using that hero power, I would argue that the Hunter power is going to get even stronger.
So my point is, there are a lot of spells in the Hunter class that I have never, ever put in my decks. I'm like, it's just not worth it. Like, it's a little bit of a help, but as a Hunter, I need more than a little bit of a help. I need a spell that I'm going to get and never put away. That I'm always going to be like, yes.
So do you think the randomness balances it inherently?
The point I'm going to make is I think they're noticing potentially just based on how I play that class. And I'm not saying that anyone should exemplify their Hearthstone style based on what I do, but that maybe there were a lot of Hunter spells that were just being unused. It's just like, we're noticing that people aren't playing with a lot of these. Maybe we can make not the randomness, which I do think is inherent to the Hunter class. There's like spawn a random beast, well,
randomness is inherent to Hearthstone, I feel like.
So I think this is to encourage Hunters to play more spells. Long story short.
Let me throw this at you real quick. In my opinion, this is kind of like the Hunter version of Unstable Portal. Unstable Portal is a mage-specific card, 2 mana, summon a random minion, put it in your hand, it costs 3 less. The most frustrating way for me to lose personally in Hearthstone is when they Unstable Portal something that is so insane that I just instantly lose the game. It's like, well, there was like a 0.01% chance of that happening, and I lost, and I can't do anything about it. That sucks. Like, I want to lose and feel like, no, I didn't play around this. I didn't sequence my things correctly. Like, to me as a player, it's always tough looking back at a game and saying, like, man, I really couldn't do anything there. And I think lock and load kind of encourages that.
I have difficult time seeing lock and load being consistently effective.
We'll see. People said that about Unstable Portal, and then it kind of faded out of the metagame. With the Flame Waker card, it kind of came back because it had synergy there. It depends on if lock and load can synergize with other cards effectively outside of itself.
Akuma Doken is my hunter brother for life. I just want to point that out.
You guys are crazy.
Bunch of brothers. You want to move on? To
Yeah, can you get the next card
definitely.
up there?
Just real quick, while we're bringing up the other card, you put out lock and load. It's way OP. How do you fix it? Just up the cost?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, the cost. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to do it. I don't think it's going to be too OP, but I think it's going to... Hunter is going to stay the same. Like, Hunter is going to be the same kind of class, and I wish there were more options for
Speaking
them.
of OP...
Yeah, this card is crazy, especially as a neutral. So, 4 mana, 2/6, that high health is really, really, really important.
Right.
There aren't too many things that can get rid of it on turn 4.
And there's a lot of cards with way less than 6 damage and 2 health. So, I mean, that Maiden of the Lake can clear the board a
stick
little
around,
bit. Can
yeah.
take, you know...
The thing that's interesting about Maiden of the Lake and why I like the card is it's not that great on its own. So, like,
Right.
sure, your hero power costs 1 less mana. That's not a huge deal in a lot of instances. Maybe you have, like, an edge case, like, let's say where you're a hunter and you need to squeeze out that little bit of extra damage or whatever it is. I don't know. But Maiden of the Lake gets more interesting as we talk about some of the cards later on in this sentence. So, playing her on her own, like, having a 2/6, like, yes, that high health is nice, and yes, having your hero power cost 1 is nice, but it's probably not going to do that much for you. Like, sure, if you're a paladin, you summon a Silverhand Recruit for 1. What is that? How much is that going to change the board state? But, Kyle, can we bring up the next card? We'll come back to Maiden of the Lake.
Okay.
Well, and you taunt the Maiden. That's nice.
There aren't that many ways, though, to give that minion taunt outside of, like, some druid cards and...
I like the opposite side taunt guy. That guy's cool. The
Oh, yeah,
guy
that's
with the
true.
shield.
That's true. I forgot about Defender of Argust and
Yeah.
Superior Protector. Yep, absolutely.
Haha.
Yeah, that's interesting.
This guy.
And they clearly, I mean,
So here we go.
These, yeah, Koldara, the worst named anything in the history of Warcraft. That's like the joke I always had in Lich King was that's like naming a desert lots of Sanda. Mm-hmm. It's just like
Lots of sand.
Lots of Sanda.
thank you, Kyle. That's like a 5-year-old joke with my guild. But yeah, I mean this is why would you not have both of those cards in a mage deck ever? I mean that's
Right.
look out. I mean yeah.
So the thing about Mage is it's already extremely good at controlling the board. More
Right.
so, I would argue, than any other class. They have the tools.
Mage is good at controlling Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Mages.
Mage is in a strong
Mage,
spot right
for a
now.
long time was my most hated class, and Priest is getting up there.
So
Druid also getting
the
up
way that this is kind of balanced, I suppose, is if you play a Koldara Drake, you probably, in the mid game, you can't play a Koldara Drake and a Maiden of the Lake on the same turn, and so it requires a little bit of setup because you really want these two to synergize, right? Like, imagine turn 10, you have a Koldara Drake and a Maiden of the Lake out on the board. You can do 10 damage with your hero power by itself,
Yeah.
and you can spread that damage around. It's extremely effective, but it requires a little bit of a setup. It requires these things to be on the board, to stay alive, and at turn 6, all the other classes have the tools to take care of that thing.
Well, so what else deals 6 damage? So as a hunter, I can't deal 6 direct damage. I can kill something outright, but I can't.
You usually have minions that their attacks will add up to 6,
but,
or you have
but
a spell and a
specifically,
minion.
mages have that 6 damage card.
Right. Well,
was it Fireball?
Like Shaman has Crackle.
Okay.
Which you have to roll high for, but you Rogue is really good at clearing things out with like Blade Fury, like souped up Blade Furies and Tinker Sharp Sword Oil. There are ways to easily get rid of a 6/6 on turn 6.
So I just to point out the stream itself, a lot of people in the comments I saw were cracking up at the guy's like giggle. Like the guy that was making these announcements.
He was a little bit awkward.
This is like after he would announce things, and I mean
Right.
he was just absolutely devilish when he talked about putting these two cards together. He knew it. Like
Yeah. The sort of, even if they deal with this right away though, Brandon, any card where when you play it, your opponent feels like they have to take care of it immediately, like it's a huge threat, is good for you. Because then they're not pushing against you. They're not making increased aggression against you. They're just dealing with the threats that you have in play. So even if nothing happens with it, it's already a powerful card because of the potential threat.
And it's a friggin' dragon. So you have the card that's like, this card costs way less if you have a dragon in your hand. And I think is there an opposite where it's like
that card is only a paladin card. So the card that decreases the cost of dragons is only a paladin card.
But yeah, I've been trounced by dragons before. I know there's sneaky ways that you can get dragons earlier into play than intended. So
yeah, but I mean, like you were saying, this seems like a very easy include in a lot of mage decks. You have cards that are buffed by dragons. So you have the Blackwing Technician, which is the 3 mana, and if you have a dragon, it's a 3/5.
Yeah.
Like that's really good. And so
that's right.
You know, mages are already playing things like sometimes Malygos, sometimes Ysera, that sort of stuff, or Alex Straza and Free's Mage. This is a very deadly combination. They played it on the stream, and it was extremely effective. So I'm curious to see
you see
how
either of these guys. Yeah, get them.
Yeah, all right.
Get them right away.
Let's go on to the next card.
Okay, here we go.
A lot of people are talking about Smite with subs. That we need to do a sub Smite stream.
Yeah, I said I would do that. I
Smubs,
still intend
I'm calling it. Smubs.
That'd be really fun. Probably get my ass kicked. I haven't played
Slamming
Smite in a while.
Strats with Ben Moore and Brandon Jones.
That's what this show is called right now.
Did you change the title?
No.
Because that's a really good title.
That's the unofficial title.
I like the unofficial title.
Beard and Pipe would like to point out that if you have Emperor Thaurissan or possibly other cards...
Brandon, I have to correct you. It's Thaurissan.
Thaurissan? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Thaurissan. Thank you. No,
it's a problem.
No, when it comes to pronunciation, nip that in the bud
No,
immediately.
a lot of people...
Thaurissan.
There's a guy at Smarsh that pronounces it Thaurissan.
Like Calrissian and Thaurissan. Got it.
Yeah, Thaurissan. Yep.
That if you have Thaurissan, you can get both these guys out in the same turn. Or two little crazies.
Right, but that's a 3-card combo. And, like, yes, it can't happen. You will see it, but you can't rely on 3-card combos.
I'm just trying to limit my heartbreak. I just want to limit my expectations, man. If it can happen, I want to be ready for it.
No, it's... Anytime you get a new expansion, I love going on the forums because they're like, wait, if you have this card and then it goes into this card and it goes into this card, you'll do 1,000,000 damage to them in one turn. And it's like, yes, but practically that will never happen.
Brand 40N. Kyle would like to compliment you on your 2 cards at once.
Yeah, that was great. Brandon, we got the next card. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So
okay, so I haven't seen this.
Blizzard said they really like giants, and every single time well, not every single time, but the last expansion they added a new giant. They're adding a new giant here. They really like giants, and I think the giants are fun cards.
They are fun cards.
Yeah,
because you earn them. Like it takes a long time to build up.
Yeah,
like the Molten Giant, if you get your ass handed to you, at least you can like, haha, Molten Giant.
Molten Giant, and what's cool is Molten Giant is used in so many different types of decks.
Yeah.
And those are my favorite cards when you can apply them to a bunch of different things. Frost Giant, one of the big themes of this expansion is they want you to use your hero power. They want your hero power to be more valuable than it already is. So this guy, 10 mana, 8/8, that mana cost gets reduced every single time you use your hero power. Brandon, I don't think this is good enough.
For that card?
Yeah, I don't think this is good enough.
He only starts at 10.
You know, I don't know what other cards are in the game, but Maiden of the Lake, like where your hero power costs 1, that will help you get this guy out a little bit sooner. But your hero power, mana, especially in the early to mid game, you have to try to be as efficient as possible. You never want hanging mana. You always want to use your mana. And you need to get creatures out there. Like getting minions out and establishing an early board presence is super important. So at least the way the game works right now, you don't usually have a lot of room to hero power because the meta is so fast. Where getting things out quickly is important. Yeah. Now, if the meta were to slow down, you had more control-oriented decks, and there was room to use your hero power more, this might make more sense, and maybe that'll happen. But just the way the game is right now, and who knows how it could change, I don't think this guy is going to be convenient enough to use.
Are you just going to make a hero power deck and just literally throw all the crazy hero power abilities in one deck and just see which ones like rises to the top?
Am I? Yeah, my goal is like when this expansion comes out.
Because it's like you reduce your hero power cost to 1, and then you put a card in where you can play it as many times as you want, and then I have 10 mana the next turn, and then I get this guy, and boom, he's in play, and I'm an 8/8 for nothing, basically. Like
right.
I do 10 damage to the guy, and then I drop an 8/8 on top of it.
I watched them play in the stream, and they had decks that were meant to utilize the hero power in new ways, and they would get this guy down to 5 mana or 7 mana. And so when they're when their turns would come up, they'd play it, maybe play something else small or just the giant on its own, and it's just like, okay, you spent your entire turn playing this giant. It's a big threat, but it's just like, I'm just gonna freeze it, do a little bit of damage, and then finish it off next turn. Or
yeah, you know who I see uses their hero power a lot and could get this card very easily is Warlock.
Yes,
yes.
So that's
constant. It's a crack. And
you
like,
nailed
imagine
it.
if that 10th time you use it is to draw the Frost Giant on a tour. It's like
you're right, because and they already have Mountain Giant, where the more cards you have in your hand, the cheaper it is. And it's very common for a Handlock to play Mountain Giant on turn 4. And if they're already using their hero power a lot, this is maybe something that could fit in there. I don't know. I can't think of too many drawbacks, but yes, Handlock is definitely a deck where I could see this working.
I like it.
Outside
I like that I said Warlock,
I don't know.
and you immediately jumped to Handlock.
Yeah,
I like when you throw specific deck names. Like I know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, am I going like too?
No,
deep
I love it. No,
right
we're all about expediency and deepness.
Yeah,
is the theme of this stream. Speaking of, we should probably move on to the next thing. How are we doing on time?
Next card.
Brandon, here's what I want to do.
451.
Okay.
We didn't do this for the other cards. We should have, because I just thought of this idea right now. I'm going to give at the end of our brief discussion, I'm going to give the card a score out of 10.
Okay.
Whole numbers, and you're going to give the card a score.
Okay.
All right? We should have done that in the beginning. I don't know why I didn't think of it. What's chat saying?
Frost Giant. What would you give Frost Giant?
I'm gonna give Frost Giant. I'm gonna give Frost Giant a 6. I think it's an average card.
Okay, I'll give it a 7.
Okay.
Let's do flat numbers.
I was gonna give it a 7.
Okay.
All right.
What the hell is Inspire?
Yeah. So Inspire is a new mechanic where every single time you use your hero power, it activates whatever the card deck is.
Oh.
It's not always gain +1 attack. That's just an example of something Inspire could be. We will see more Inspire cards.
So Inspire is using your hero ability. In this case, for the Squire, it gains 1 attack.
Right.
Because it's like, yay.
So 1-drops in Hearthstone have been extremely important right now because, like I said, the game is very, very fast. People are trying to kill you as quickly as possible.
And
so
there's not a ton.
There's not a ton of 1-drops.
Low-cost cards.
And there's not a ton of good 1-drops. I mean, you have Leopardome, you have Zombie Chow, you have Web Spinner, you have some viable options, but not enough.
Oh, I mean, the Annoyatron. What is it?
Annoyatron's 2 mana.
Oh, is it 2? Oh,
yeah.
Still great.
So,
still
1,
such
2,
a great early
yeah.
card. I love that card.
So I'm not sure how I feel about this card. A 1-mana 1/2 is bad. It's just not good.
Yeah, I'm big thematically in Hearthstone. I don't like to mix like Horde with Alliance cards, which I realize is just completely moronic, but like it's just the way I play. So like this seems like a paladin or a priest deck thematically. Like it would just kind of gel. But at the same time, like if I'm a paladin, I'm not going to be using my hero power.
Well, the thing is if I play this on turn 1, it won't be able to kill, like it'll be able to kill quite a few 1-drops, but it won't be able to kill that many 2-drops, which is a big problem unless I hero power. And if I hero power and I use my 2 mana to do that, to buff this guy up and then kill it, I'm not playing anything else.
Yeah.
And so I think that situation on its own makes me a little bit skeptical. Again, perhaps there are synergies that have yet to be revealed, but I am not impressed by this card.
It feels like a 6. I'll go 6.
I'm going to say 5.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take a 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it gives you a good idea of what Inspire is going to be.
And I like the plucky. It reminds me of the mage that comes out like, someday I want to be like you.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of exactly what he says. When you play him, he says, someday I'll be a great knight. I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot.
I'm waiting for chat to troll me because I pick
A 1 out of 10, 7.7 out of 7.8.
I should have given it a lower score, actually. Yeah, I should have given it like a 3, but it's been decided. Brandon, this card is insane. I love this card. I think this card is super good and makes Inspire really exciting. So it's a legendary card. They described it as an electric camel.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this guy's not in. This guy's not in WoW. This is just some crazy guy that showed up.
Sarah does not ring any bells to me. Okay. I'll have to look it up.
The chat will correct us.
Yeah, chat will correct us for sure. So this is a 5-mana 4/5. Every time you use your hero power, again, that's what Inspire means. This effect happens. Add a random spell to your hand.
Whoa.
This is great because there are so many decks that are spell heavy, right? So you have Rogue,
like my brand new Hunter deck that I'm going to build.
There you go. You could be Hunter hasn't been traditionally that spell heavy, but maybe now they will be.
Yeah.
But the ones that have always been, you have Mage, you have Priest, you have Rogue, you even have Shaman to a certain extent. Spells are more often than not very, 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 very powerful. And being able to get spells from other classes is extremely huge. It's why Nefarian has seen play from Blackrock Mountain. That's the dragon that adds 2 random spells of your opponent's class into your hand. Especially when you synergize it with things like Maiden of the Lake, right? And the Mage card that makes you can use your hero opponent infinitely. There was I believe it was Trump that did it. He was able to get like 3 or 4 spells in a single turn into his hand.
Okay.
Card advantage is something else that's really huge. So being able to just get cards no matter what it is to give yourself more options is very, very powerful. But I think it's balanced, right? So to get any benefit out of this, you're going to want to play it, if you don't have anything else, on turn 7. So a 7 mana 4/5 is pretty bad. A 5 mana 4/5 is pretty bad. So the stats aren't there, which I think make this card reasonable.
I feel an 8. It's a good card.
I think an 8 is what I'm going to go with as well.
All right. We're synergizing, Ben. I like that.
Yeah. It doesn't scream to me broken. It just says that it's fun. That's going to give you more utility. We're going through these pretty fast. I like the pace.
The pace has definitely picked up for sure.
We're getting our groove on.
I like this next guy.
Kyle likes this next guy. So Kyle, I'm going to ask you to give a guess score on this card.
Sure.
X Factor says Lothab is still a better 5-drop.
I'm not saying there aren't better 5-drops. Absolutely. That's not what I'm saying. Lothab is a hell of a card for sure.
I mean, this is a Shaman card.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Shaman right now is kind of duking it out with Priest. I would say Shaman is even worse than Priest right now. Shaman is basically considered the worst class in the game, or at least very close to the worst class in the game.
And Priest is close to that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I despise priests, but that's just me.
At top level stuff, yeah.
Okay, sure.
This card is excellent. It's exactly what Shaman needs. And again, I think it makes the Overload cost relevant because getting a 2 mana 3/4 that is insane.
Yeah.
Even knocking off one of your mana crystals next turn, that is huge. Now we're going to see other cards that make this card even cooler because a big thing that they're doing with this new expansion with Shaman is they're making totems more valuable. If you notice, this is a creature that is labeled as a totem.
Yeah.
So any things that affect your totems, this gets buffed.
Yeah.
The fact that its stats are insane and it has great synergy, in my opinion, this is exactly what Shaman needs, and I'm super excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's tough for me to score. I mean, it sounds like an 8. Like, it's tough for me to score because I don't... There are like 3 or 4 classes I really don't touch in the game.
Yeah.
Because they're just not my style. Mostly like I mean, I play Mage a lot just because I think that class is so dominating. But like, just as you were saying, it's control. And it's fun to control in this game. Yeah, just based on your glowing review.
Yeah. What are you going to give it?
An 8. I'll hover around an 8.
I'm going to give it a 9 because it always makes me really happy when they're giving something that the class so desperately needs. Kyle.
9.4, love the art.
9.4, love the art. Okay, so we were going to do whole numbers, but as Kyle's guest score, we will allow the 9.4 because love the art. And the art is incredible. I think the art for all of the cards I've seen has been really, really good. No King of Beasts shittiness.
Whoa.
Yeah, do you know the lion?
Yeah.
I think that guy's ugly.
Okay.
Right, whatever.
That's a whole different conversation.
Next card. I hope it's a Shaman card.
It doesn't look like a Shaman card.
Totemic Might. Yeah, the thing is, maybe Totemic Might, largely considered one of the worst cards in the game, could be good. Oh, Kodo Rider. Okay.
Kodo Rider. About time Kodo's got some rep.
I love Kodo Rider a lot.
So has War Kodo been in the game yet?
No, War Kodo is like it's a new token. So tokens are anything that
So it's
aren't.
So it's not a specific
are
type
summoned
of card.
by
It's
cards.
not, and anybody can put this in their deck.
Yeah, anybody can put this deck. So it's a neutral card, which I have not been saying which cards belong to which classes enough. It's a neutral card, 6 mana, 3/5. So ignoring the text, the cost for the stats is terrible. But if you use your hero ability, you summon basically another one of these, another 3/5. Being able to summon multiple relatively sturdy creatures in a single sweep is huge.
I'm remembering isn't there a warrior card where anything 3 damage or less?
Right, Grim Patron.
Right.
Right.
No, Grim Patron, if he takes damage, he duplicates another guy. There's the female orc that gives charge to anything with 3 or less attack. Right?
Yeah, but that just gives charge. It doesn't summon anything else.
Right, but this summons another thing. So if I have that card out and then I'm constantly summoning War Kodos, they're all getting charge.
Well, you could the way that it works, unless there's outside of Mage, you can only summon one because you can only use your hero power once per turn.
Right.
But again, I like this card because at some point I feel like it will always be useful. Like if you get to the point where you only have this card in your hand and it's late game, you get 2 3/5s out, which gives you a pretty considerable board presence. And there are a lot of this is a great arena card because there are a lot of times in arena where you go into top deck wars, and if you draw this, you're going to be very happy because this is essentially 2 cards to your opponent's 1.
Yeah, I think Warrior. I think this is a great Warrior card.
I think this is a good...
Any card?
What does Warsong Commander mean?
Warsong Commander is a broken-ass card. It's a warrior card. It's a 3 mana, 2/3. Any minion that you put into the field that has 3 or less attack,
right,
you gives it charge.
Yeah.
But once it has charge, you can give it way more than 3 attack, and it still has charge.
Right.
It's broken as shit.
Oh, yeah. And I think this breaks even further.
Oh, well,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I give myself 2 defense, and I get a 3/5 with charge.
Right.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, okay, so you're saying you do...
I put Warsong Commander out.
That's 3 mana, but then you can't do the hero power instant because you've spent 9 mana.
Right.
So you'd have to wait for next turn.
Right. So you'd have to wait.
That's a 2-turn combo.
It's an expensive play, yeah.
Yeah. I like this card a lot. I think I'm going to give this card a solid 7.
I give it an 8. I like it.
Okay.
I want to put that in my Warrior deck. A lot of these are affecting classes I don't normally play as, but I like Warrior. So
I love neutral cards.
And you know who likes Warrior? My wife.
I love all classes, Brandon.
You love all equally?
Not equally.
Like picking children?
I really have been falling in love with priests. Okay,
How
effigy.
are we like halfway through them at least?
I can't check without ruining the shot.
All right.
Secrets have been really upsetting me.
Your crop's a little tight on that one, Kyle.
That's the image we got.
Okay.
Secrets have been really upsetting me in Hearthstone, and I think this is going to be another secret that upsets me because there are a lot of times where I'm playing a mage and it's like all I have are big creatures, and he's got a mirror entity out, or I'm playing against a hunter and I only have one thing on the board and it's going to get freezing trapped. That sucks. That happens to me all the time. Effigy, I think, is actually a completely balanced card that has the potential to be game winning.
Yeah.
Right?
It's super random, though.
Yes.
A random minion?
So...
Like, not a random class minion?
In a way, this is kind of good no matter what. So, the reason this card is good is because of one of the most broken cards of the game, Mad Scientist. So, let's say you play a Mad Scientist. It dies. You don't spend any mana on getting the effigy, right? So, let's say you get the effigy, and it procs as it's on your character. And you play a 3-drop. If that 3-drop dries, you get another 3-drop for free. That's insane.
But not a 3-drop from your deck, just a 3-drop period.
Right, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, there are very few 3-drops that you could get that wouldn't be beneficial.
Well, okay. So one thing that I don't understand, that I'm curious about is in Hearthstone, whenever they say random. So like when I play my 3-cost summon a random beast. It's not random. It's one of 3 beasts. It's a very specific class. They say random, but it's actually each card kind of seems to come with its own specific catalog of randomness.
Right.
So I wonder if effigy is the same thing. If it has like maybe 10 or 12.
No.
This is like.
So they fixed that.
It's game-wide,
whatever it
versus
says,
gnomes, Blackrock, whatever. You don't own this card. Whoa, here comes this crazy...
Any minion in the game, as long as it costs the same as the minion that died, is what you'll summon.
So what did Molten Giant... Does Molten Giant count for whatever it was when I played it, or is that the 20 cost?
No. So it counts for its... Right, so if you have a Molten Giant, it doesn't take into account any discounts. So, Effigy treats Molten Giant like a 20-cost minion.
So it's just going to grab another Molten Giant because there's not... Is there any other 20-cost
Right, so if your Molten Giant dies, you will get 100% of the time a Molten Giant.
Okay, interesting.
Because there are no other 20-cost cards.
7. I'm still a little wonky on this. I think this could... I think anytime I see the word random, I'm like, okay.
And
it's a secret, which... can be annoying.
Go
like
lower, Brandon. I need more drama out of your score.
6.
There we go.
Oh man, no! I think this is a really good card. I think this is a secret that is going to see a lot of play. You
made your case. We gotta hustle.
Okay, all right, we gotta hustle. I'm gonna give it an 8.
All right.
I like this card.
All right.
It's going to be really annoying, I think.
All right, there are 5 more cards.
5 more cards. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, man. I'm just trying to run all these different combinations of cards in my head. This card bugs the shit out of me, Brandon Jones. Fallen Hero.
Okay.
2 mana.
One extra. Okay,
3/2.
wait, this is class specific, right?
Yeah, mage only card.
Oh, God, mages.
Your hero power deals 1 extra damage.
Yeah.
Mage, every single expansion gets more ways to deal with the board.
This is a 4.
The
I
fact,
hate mage.
the fact that this is a 2-drop is insane. If this was a 3-drop, I could see it.
Yeah,
but
I hate this with a passion.
right, like even on turn 4,
I'll tell you who the fallen hero is.
even on
It's
turn
me.
4, you could play this, clear your opponent's 2-drop, and you still have a 3/2 on the board that's threatening a lot of damage with the hero power.
There's your drama. Next.
Whoa.
Next
okay.
card.
You can't wait. Are we? You can grade it on however you want, but in terms of effectiveness,
I don't think
I think this is an extremely effective card.
Of course.
That makes the early game for Mage that much more powerful. Again, we were talking about this before. This is a card that presents an immediate threat because there's so much potential with it. So as an opponent, you need to clear this right away. And anything that you feel like you have to stop what your game plan is to deal with something makes it very, very powerful.
Dealing 2 damage to anything that you want to as opposed to 1 is a huge difference.
It is a huge difference.
The one, it's like when you get up to like 4 versus 5 health, like it's not
Right.
that significant, but 1 versus 2 health is
Right,
very,
and you
very
think
big.
about a somewhat comparable card, right? Like Shadow Form for Priest. Shadow Form is 3 mana, and you probably can't do anything else that turn. Or you think of Steamweedle Sniper. That's a good card, but because Hunter isn't focused on controlling the board as much as Mage is, it doesn't really work that well in the current archetypes. This Mage already does this, so it's just making them better at doing it. So I think it's really, really good.
Score.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
All right. Double my score. Still like mages. Even though I play as one.
Huber hates Mages as well. I wonder if Huber saw this and if he's freaking out.
Oh yeah, Huber is not. Huber and I both left the country.
Yeah.
We fled. I came back. We'll see if Huber does too.
So
His government has not likely allowed him to find out yet.
Yeah.
this is a shaman-specific card, the Draenei Totem Carver, and again is exactly what I was talking about. So it's a 4 mana 4/4 battle cry. So this means it happens when you play it. Gain a +1/+1 for each friendly totem. Now that creature is a totem, so that counts for this.
Yeah.
I really, really like this card because totems for the longest time haven't really been part of the shaman identity. Like, yeah, you'll play it when you can. There are some good totems. You have Manatite Totem, which sees some play, and you see the totem that gives adjacent minions +2 attack. But the way they're going with this expansion, they're almost treating totems like its own tribe, like Murlocs, like pirates.
Yeah.
And this has the potential to be huge, and it encourages your opponent to waste more time clearing totems. And so they're not doing damage to you. They're maybe not doing damage to... they're slowing down the killing you process because of maybe potential threats like this. So it has the payoff to be huge, and a 4 mana 4/4, while not great, is not that bad. Like, if this is all you have to play, that's not terrible. It's on its own. So I think it's another effective tool for
I'll give it
Shaman.
an 8. I like
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to give it an 8 as
We were
well.
talking before with pirates and stuff. Like I like that they're building that up.
I'm actually going to give it a 7. I think it's solid but not crazy.
All right. Fearing totems,
Which is
All right,
what
that'll,
Shaman needs. A lot of solid
Okay,
but not
yeah.
crazy cards.
I think that one actually had bad art.
You'd better. A lot of other people were saying that.
Really?
Yeah, on the stream, people were saying that they really didn't like the art. I don't have a problem with it.
I can't think of a card in the game I could classify
King
as
of
bad.
Beasts.
Yeah, which is funny. I play that card all the time. I gotta.
You want to see some
I gotta
really
look at
good
that.
art?
Yeah, see some really good art. Oh, Tuskar! I love the Tuskar.
Get out of here, guys.
Kyle, I'm gonna ask for a guest score on this based
Okay.
on the art. Okay.
Alright.
So this is another shaman card, Tuskar Totemic. Summon any random totem.
A blonde walrus. Can we just stop for a second?
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So on the stream, Amaz was playing Shaman. Amaz is a very famous player that used to live in Hong Kong. Or I think he still lives in Hong Kong, but he has his own team. Maybe you guys know Amaz, maybe you don't. That's not the point. He played this card, and got the 3/4 totem that we saw earlier. Then he played it again and got the 3/4 totem that we saw again. So if you play this and you get a 3/4 with it, that is insane. That is broken. That's very, very difficult to deal with. So it has, like Bane of Doom, like a lot of other cards, it has the potential to be insane. But what I like about it is no matter what, it's probably pretty good. The only totem that maybe you wouldn't want is the 1/1 totem. A lot of the other ones could see some use. Like even the healing totem wouldn't be that terrible. The spell power would be great. The taunt totem would be great. The mana tide where you draw cards would be great. I think this is a really, really good card. At a 3 mana 3/2, the stats aren't really there. It's a little bit too much. But because what you get is probably pretty good, I think it's an extremely solid card.
I think if it was literally just 3/3/2, it would be palatable. You know, that wouldn't be like a terrible card as long as it affected your class in some way. So based on that, I would give it a 7, and I think I'd bump it up to an 8, just because, like you said, of the possibility,
the potential
of really like hitting a home run.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay.
Yeah, solid. The fact that it's a common is good too. I think this is a card that's going to see a lot of play, and for people that don't want to spend a lot of money or resources on Hearthstone, like they don't have to with this card.
Maybe chat can tell us how close we are. We are steering dangerously close to GT Live.
Okay.
50 minutes.
50 minutes. All right, we got how many cards do we got? Kyle, what's your guess score on that?
2 more cards.
2 more. Oh,
Real
okay.
quick, based on the art.
9.5.
9.5. Highest Kyle score so far.
Love that walrus.
Another nod to Wrath of the Lich King. Love the walruses.
Yeah, Tuskars were introduced.
Or Tuskar,
actually.
sorry.
Yeah. Thunder Bluff Valiant. Again, another shaman card. A lot of
And again, Kodos getting the love.
Yeah, I love Kodos. I really like that Blizzard showcased shaman because they're in such a poor position.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, clearly.
This is a really cool card.
So is this everything? So what we're talking about, is this the whole thing, or is this just kind of their introduction to the new expansion?
This is their introduction. So if they're coming out in August, they're pretty much going to have to reveal cards every day.
And this is a Goblins Gnomes type deal. This is these are packages. These are, you know.
Yes, so these are packs. Yeah. Absolutely. What they said for Arena, just a quick tidbit because you guys are probably interested. So when you play Arena matches now, you always get Goblins versus Gnome packs. When this stuff comes out, when you win, after you finish an arena run, you'll get a random pack. So it might be Goblins vs. Gnomes, it might be Classic, it might be Grand Tournament. Thunderbluff Valiant. So it's a 5 mana, 3/6. It has that Inspire mechanic. So every time you use your hero power, your totems get +2 attack.
I like this a lot.
Right. So what's cool about this card is you can't just put it in any shaman deck. It is a shaman deck where you're focusing on totems. You plan to build your board with totems. But if that is your type of deck, and I like that it encourages that kind of experimentation, it could be really, really valuable.
And what's your hero power? Get a totem.
Right.
It's like,
but there are already things in shaman. So you have like the Flame Tongue totem, which gives +2 attack to adjacent minions that I mentioned before. You also have Bloodlust, right? It's 5 mana, give +3 attack to everything on your board.
Right.
So, you know.
And there are a lot of totems that don't have attack. And that's kind of their trade-off. And so this would... this would make something even better. That's just blocking or
bursty shamans already exist. They have existed for a long time, but they were never seen as quite good enough. This is another tool that they have to maybe make them a little bit more consistent, to make them a little bit more competitive. I really like it.
And Thunder Bluff, specific World of Warcraft shout out.
Yeah.
You know, to the world, to the map.
I love how into the lore you are.
I
love it. It warms my heart.
Lore's
it
big
really
for me,
does.
man. I played that game all the way until Cataclysm ended. Didn't actually fight Deathwing, but played a bunch of that expansion. 8, I like it.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay.
I think it's a very good card.
All right.
7. If I give something a 7, I really like it.
Shaman, good for you guys.
Yeah, good for Shaman.
Still gonna whoop.
Hopefully, it's enough to make them not garbage tier. How many more cards do we got?
One final card.
One final card, the last one.
Bob Hope, we are definitely doing GT Live. Mr. Matt Danovic is going to be joining us from Inside Gaming. We're going to be going live in 46 minutes.
Yeah.
On a totally other stage.
Ben's favorite
I'm changing
card.
shirts and everything.
Oh, God. The art for this is, like, freaking me out right now.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
So before we talk about the card, I'm going to give my score.
Ending on a hunter card.
This is my biggest fear. If you told me, what do you want to see? I would not say a ball of spiders. If somebody gave me a ball of spiders, I would die. This card is a 1 out of 10.
Yes! This is a 9. Oh,
I'm not gonna look at it as we talk. So it's a 6 mana hunter spell. When you play it, you summon
Speaking of spells,
3
baby.
web spinners.
I'm excited.
I don't think this card is that great. I really like Web Spinner as a one drop.
Again, I'm being silly with the 9. It's probably like a 7 or an 8, but I'm still going to go with the 9 just because I'm totally going to play. And I think that's part of scoring. Is that like I cannot wait to play with this.
Absolutely.
But again, there is the random thing. Web spinners can sometimes do nothing. I think what is it, like the chicken? It's like screw you. Like whenever I get that. But
this gives you the potential, because you're summoning 3 of them, it gives you the potential to get something crazy.
They're all King Crush.
Maybe a King Crush, maybe a Gazrilla, maybe a Malorn, because Malorn is a beast, and you can get Druid Beasts and stuff like that too. So it's a very fun card.
Yeah.
It's a card that might be silly in Arena or might be cool in Tavern Brawl, but in terms of competitiveness, the cost is so high versus what you're getting. You're betting a lot on potential. You know, that good old RNG. I think this is not a good card that's not going to see a lot of play.
Are you serious? Are you going to go with the 1? Is that your...
I'm going to go with a 2 in practical reasons, and bend more hatred, it's a 1.
It's a 1. Kyle,
yeah.
What do you think of the art?
The art's honestly not great. When you say ball of spiders, I want to see a ball of spiders.
That's just true.
Yeah. So,
this is terrible. Whoever idea this was,
so really quick,
I'm upset.
So really quick to wrap things up.
Okay.
What did you think of the stream, Ben? Like, how is this? Because we are Hearthstone fanatics. We are also GameTrailers.com, and we study very carefully the art of rolling your game out and making announcements. And usually we get some big cinematic trailer, goblins and gnomes, like some big fun, CG, art cards flying all over the place.
Yeah,
I really liked BlackRock when he started singing. So that versus some nerd coming out on stage and just like giggling to himself, and then you have matches which could potentially go very wrong. You don't really know how these matches are going to play out, so you could talk about a card's usefulness and then have guys play it immediately after that live, and then have it not work out well. Thank you, Kyle. Quick on the draw there, buddy.
I have very mixed feelings about the stream. I think it's an excellent idea, but the stream didn't work for like 40 to 50%.
Best of both worlds. I never saw this. The CG this is great.
The stream
memories.
The stream didn't work for like 40 to 50% of the time, which is a huge problem. Like, it crashed 2 or 3 times.
It had more views than some of the E3 press conferences we saw.
But it was marred. And there was a point where it was going like 1 frame per second. It was awful. So I think they really need to work out production kinks. I love Eric Dodd a lot. I don't know if
I use the word nerd affectionately also. I don't know.
I know I do.
If people are angry
he's
about
very passionate about the game.
There is no nerd bigger than than us. So
I thought the initial reveal could have been a little bit different, maybe a little bit more exciting. But the people that they had casting, Kriparian and Frodan, they're great. They're extremely funny. They're knowledgeable. They're good at talking. They were great. Trump and Amaz are very well-known players, so it's great how in tune Blizzard is with that stuff, because they picked the right people for the matches, they picked the right people for the casting, and that's definitely something I would like to see them continue.
Yeah, it kind of has that Nintendo Direct vibe, of just going straight to the audience, talking to them directly, and starting the discussion about how cool these cards are.
Unlike Goblins versus Gnomes, where they just sort of announced the cards and were like, well, maybe it would be good in these situations, we actually got to see matches, so we saw examples of the cards being effective or ineffective.
Right.
And that gives us a lot more than just seeing them on their own. So I liked that as well.
Bit more.
Yeah.
Hearthstone aficionado. Hearthstone, man. Yeah, I mean, this is
Grand tournament.
This is one of the things. Reminds me of like Minecraft back in the day when they really started making these amazing advancements to that game.
Yeah.
And I would just find myself like, wow, I haven't played Minecraft in 2-3 months, and like, I got to play again.
Yeah.
And so obviously when this comes out, that's going to be a big weekend. Obviously we're going to stream the hell out of it. Thank you, Kyle, for being on media. We are going to be back in 40 minutes with Mr. Matt Danovic on a totally different stage.
I want to say one last thing.
And you're going to be playing Onichambra Z2 Chaos.
Fuck me.
I mean, Hearthstone's great, but Onichambra.
If you guys like this kind of stuff, if you like sort of our immediate reactions to announcements and sort of the strategy talk, let us know, because I would love to do more of it. For sure. Not just with Hearthstone, but with other games as well.
Yeah, and I think we've kind of dabbled in that in the past with other franchises we're very passionate about.
Yeah, but maybe a little bit more consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to throwing these cards at you guys in the future. And thank you, Ben, for your analysis.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon, for joining me.
See you guys in a little bit. GT Live. Thanks for watching. Do a hard cut. Super hard.